listening to The Voice of Reason with Mark Reed and Ted Durden, only on LA Talk Radio.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of The Voice of Reason. I'm your host, Ted Durden, a Southern Democrat.
And I'm Mark Reed, a West Coast Republican.
And together we are the Voice of Reason. If you've never tuned into the show before, this is a politically motivated podcast where civil discourse regarding political issues are the order of the day, where Mark and I believe there are more things that unite us than there are things that divide us. And having said that, I'm going to toss the ball to Mark, as I always do.
You know, we've been very fortunate. The show has kind of taken off because of that. I've gotten a lot of compliments about the show and its ability to talk about hard subjects in a very civil manner, and what we really need in D.C. and City Hall and Sacramento. So we've gotten a lot of different sponsors that have come onto the show, and if you're interested in sponsoring the show, just let us know. But a new sponsor has come on, so I'm going to read the ad right now. We do have a new sponsor on The Voice of Reason, Paintball USA. Steve knows April, and he guarantees this will be the best paintball experience of your life. So call 661-255-5332. That's 661-255-5332 and ask for April at Paintball USA. Regardless of it, if you want a fantastic weekend outing for the family and friends, or if you're a corporation looking for that magic team building, you've got to check out Paintball USA. Mention The Voice of Reason and you'll get a 25% off the regular priced package. And speaking of packages, Paintball USA offers all-day package for only $30, the Ninja package for $45, the basic training package for $50, the Top Gun package for $65, and the package that Steve recommends, the birthday package, is only $55. Prices, of course, include admission, air gun rental, complete safety equipment, party favors, and 500 paintballs to use accordingly. That's Paintball USA at 661-255-5332. That's Paintball USA, 661-255-5332. And don't forget to mention The Voice of Reason for that 25% discount. Right off the bat, we have a very, very special guest, new City Councilman John Lee. He's a resident of the West San Fernando Valley. He has dedicated his entire life to giving back to the community, and I think that was one of the main reasons why you were elected. And in today's political discourse of the Republicans versus the Democrats, it got a little nasty in there. You know, they came out and were trying to hinge the Republican moniker on you, like everybody's going to say, oh, you're a rotten guy because you're a Republican.
Right.
But just like this show, you have to work with 14 Democrats on the City Hall in the shoe there, and you have constituency that is Democrat and Republican. And you very successfully got the election, won the election, because you reached out to Democrats. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you accomplished that? Because
well, first
a great
of all,
feat.
Mark, Ted, thank you for having me on your show, on your podcast. I obviously had to reach out to Democrats. Democrats are 48% of the district, and Republicans only make about 32%. I think that what I did was focus mainly just on the issues. Number one, I'm someone who's from the area, so right off the bat, they knew. I lived there for 41 years, since 1978. So they know I'm somebody who's invested in the community. But on top of that, I needed to talk about not only what I've done, but the things that I think that matter most to all people. I don't care if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. You understand that we're going through a homeless crisis. You understand about the cost of living here in Los Angeles. There are issues that cross those party lines, and I think I spoke to those issues, and I was able to successfully, get that message across.
That is a huge issue in all of Los Angeles County, the city of Los Angeles, the state of California, also nationwide. Nationwide, there's over 550,000 homeless people. In the city of Los Angeles, there was a rise in homeless. I believe in the county was 17%, the city was 16%. There's approximately 60,000 living on the streets in the city of Los Angeles, and there's more homeless people dying from exposure than New York, and New York is freezing. One of the things that I got quite a few calls, and if anybody would like to call into the show, feel free to call in. You can ask John a question, 818-570-5085, and we'll be happy to answer it collectively, or John will tackle it all on his own. He's a very able individual. But a lot of the questions I got right off the bat, I know you weren't involved in the planning of this or the selection of the site, but there's a site that's been picked for a 63-unit transitional housing right there on Topanga Canyon, right next to the ARCO station.
Right.
And right next to a school, in fact.
Right across the street.
And across the well, no, it's not across the street. It is across the intersection.
Right,
It's on the other corner, essentially. And there's only 5 parking spots for these 63 units. I believe it's 7 stories tall. But one of the biggest things of my concern as well, and I want you to touch on it a little bit, those units are costing the taxpayers $433,000 apiece for a studio, a total of $29 million to build this thing. Do you think that's a little outrageous in cost? Besides the location, I think we both agree that, because you're against it. I've read a lot of reports that you're against it because of the location.
Right.
But are you also very concerned at the high cost of these transitional units that are being proposed by this administration, because it's gone up to approximately $720,000 apiece now?
Yeah. You know, there's nothing like not being in office yet, preparing for your first day, and for an issue like this to come out and get 100 phone calls. And
It's been brutal.
On the day before you take office.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this obviously was a location that I didn't think would work. It's
Right.
something that they had when I read about the designs, a rooftop that could look into neighborhoods and different things like that right across from an elementary school. I didn't think it worked.
Right.
But the cost is something not just for this project, it's for all the different HHH projects that are coming down the pipeline.
Exactly.
When we're hearing $550, $600, $650, even $700,000 in certain cases, is something that I think when the taxpayers hear, it's once again they go, you know what, we got fooled again. And I think we send a clear message with Measure EE that, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 8 times, you know, I'm not gonna be, you know, shame on me. It's just
we're very tolerant taxpayers.
It's just we, you know, we saw that, and I don't want to lose the confidence of the people of Los Angeles, and I think that we're starting to now with this issue.
Well,
I think people opened up their wallets, opened up their hearts. They understood we had an issue, you know, crisis coming in, but now, you know, they see this price tag, and it bothers some of them.
Okay, and I want to touch on that because,
Sure.
like you, I understand the homeless have a problem, and we want to try to deal with that in a compassionate manner.
Of course.
However, like I'm sure everybody else, the rest of the constituency or the people in the community, just shocked at the price tag. So when you stop and you think about it, you're talking about $500,000 to $750,000 per unit. And there are just full homes that don't cost that much.
Well, I'm a builder, and I can build a 4,000 square
and
foot
that's
house
crazy.
for $450,000.
So my question is, when this project was first proposed, how were the bids handled? How did the price tag, that outrageous price tag, get to that amount? I'm just stunned. I'm absolutely stunned.
I am just as stunned as you, and I'm actually, not only looking into definitely this, how the prices are now set at that amount. When I see the amount that this developer was going to receive for building 63 units, it just, while I talked about it during the campaign, this is my first example in my district when I can actually take a look at it and actually start diving into the costs and trying to figure out how we got here. What is the component that is making this so high? Is it? I mean, I know it's important to provide a living wage. I know that's important to do things, but like you, I don't really understand. I don't understand, and I need to dive deeper. But I need to dive deeper. Not only just that, because I don't think that building housing, more housing is just going to solve the problem.
No, it won't.
We need to look at the cause of what's going on. And as I go down the rabbit hole, I start researching things, and there are different programs that I feel that are even inviting people to California. Different programs, and Mark's heard me talk about it a lot of times. Prop 64 is something that I really truly believe ties the hands of police officers not being able to just do their jobs. No one is saying homelessness is a crime.
Right.
And no one, I've been a board member of the San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission, where we have a 90-bed shelter built in Northridge. We built it because we worked with the community. It fits in that community. And in 5 years, we're running at 93% success rate at zero tax dollars. We are 100% privately funded, because what we know happens is sometimes when you do take that money from the government, which is I'd love to do, it becomes about numbers and not about people.
Well, let me ask you a question along the same line then.
Sure.
Okay, with this shelter that we're talking about, this 63 unit, is that something that like I said, I know you've only been in office for 5 days, okay, and I'm hoping that bell can be unrung, that something can be done about that cost, because I've heard about your public service, and I'm impressed by that. I really am. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
You have a relatively large footprint in this area, in this community, and I applaud you. So I think you were the right man for the job, regardless of your political affiliation, because my thing is, I don't care what your political affiliation is, as long as you can get the job done and you're tending to my concerns in the area and in the community. See, that's all that matters to me.
Sure.
That's it.
Both Ted and I have the same philosophy.
Absolutely.
And that is there's good leadership on both sides.
Right.
Of course.
And this is where you're going to come into the same example is you have good leadership on the other 14 in the shoe and yourself. And it's coming together to come up with the best projects possible. Now, the project on Topanga Canyon, that's a very high cost piece of property. Very high cost. And it's not the right spot, regardless of the schools and everything else, because these people that are homeless, that have mental health issues or drug addiction issues,
Correct.
They just want a warm bed, they want food, they want to be able to shower. So what other ideas do you propose, or commercial, everybody says go into the commercial district areas, because one of the great examples, besides the San Fernando mission that you have established, right, is also Tarzana Treatment Center. I'm sure you're familiar with that one as well. They have a very high success rate. They're in a commercial district area. It's not really intrusive on homes and so forth. And they are the #1 drug rehabilitation treatment center in the valley. I mean, they do a really phenomenal job there. What ideas do you have, or have you investigated different locations for possibilities of setting up something like that?
Well, like I said during the campaign, I believe there's locations that work and locations that don't work in my community. I think that we need to start looking at, big major projects that can really have a adverse effect on individual communities. If we do smaller projects, I think we can do that if we start bringing the cost down. I'm looking at prefabricated homes. I'm looking at different price tags when I'm looking at like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 per unit.
Right, and that makes more sense. That makes more sense.
When you do the numbers and you start talking about $550,000 and this $1.2 billion bond that we're floating, if you do the math, it comes out to like 6,000 people. We have 50,000 people on the streets.
Right.
This is not what the taxpayers voted for.
Right.
They voted for us to, come up with a solution, to figure out, and in the meantime to be able to house, because we are compassionate to the people living on the streets. And there are areas where I think we can, put down these, prefabricated places, provide counseling there, provide drug treatment there, because we're not spending $550,000 per unit. We can now afford a different part of that program.
Right.
And so that's what we need to focus on. Everyone needs to be a part of the solution. The community needs to be a part of the solution. Government needs to be a part of the solution. Businesses need to be a part of the solution. We all have to understand that we're all going to benefit from, us getting a handle on this issue. But again, there's so many different facets of the homelessness problem that we have to take a look at. Different programs, different insurance programs that I believe that are attracting people. People being able to feed their drug habits with Prop 64, you can steal up to $950, not per day, but per incident too.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy. And the thing is I don't think that people really know about Prop 60. I think they when you explain it to them and they start hearing it, they have the same reaction as, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. They go, wait a second, that's a pretty good living.
Really and truly.
Right.
And it's like we talk about. We all have the same concerns.
Right.
We all do. And I remember at the last debate that you had, I remember that one of the questions, and it was actually a question for me, and again, it's a balancing act, with compassion for the homeless and the needs of the community. So the question I posed then, and please forgive me because I don't remember what the answer was,
Sure.
but I think it was very legitimate. How do you balance out the needs of the homeless versus the needs and concerns of the community? Like we're talking about, this homeless shelter is near an elementary school. Have you given some thought or had discussions? I know you've only been in office 5 days, John. I'm going to keep saying that. I know I may throw a lot out at you. Like, is there anything in mind or in place, okay, when you consider what the location of the homeless shelters are going to be, 2 things. Proximity to schools, number 1. And number 2, how many do we need?
Yeah, I think that when we look at the number that we've all committed to, the 222,
Okay.
that my predecessors committed to, it's not enough. We need to start looking at the problems of how to provide lower income, like affordable housing. And I've always said, to have affordable housing, the first thing we need to do is make it affordable. we charge fees and regulations to people who are trying. We constantly hear from the city of Los Angeles, we need more housing, we need more housing, we need more housing. Yet we make it so hard
Difficult.
to build.
Yes.
We can waive CEQA for an 80,000 seat football stadium, but we can't do it for, housing.
For a single family dwelling, right, exactly.
We need to understand what, I've said this over and over again. If we had an earthquake tonight, there were 8,000 Valley residents out on the streets, the city would come together so quickly.
Absolutely.
And start building and start, not put aside, obvious like life, saving issues of building and safety codes and things like that of course we need.
Right.
But some of the different regulations and different fees, we would get through those so quickly. Departments would come together, they would work together, and we'd be able to build. It's sometimes this simple economics.
Oh,
we
yeah,
have the demand,
and
we
it's
don't
like
have
a-
the
On that
supply.
note, let's hold our thought process. We're going to have to pay our bills.
Sure.
So we'll go into a break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back with you.
All right. The Voice of Reason is brought to you by turchinlaw.com, 818-230-3110. If you have any questions or need legal advice about workers' compensation, employment, and labor law, call Turchin Law or email turchinlaw.com. The phone number is 818-230-3110. The Voice of Reason is also brought to you by Honda. Another sponsor, The Voice of Reason, is brought to you by Levin and Nalbandian Trial Lawyers at 213-232-4848. If you have any workers' compensation, employment, and labor law or personal injury legal needs, call Levin and Nalbandian Trial Lawyers at 213-232-4848.
Hi, I want to welcome Rusty Levin and Harry Nabanian, both trial lawyers for workman comp cases. If you're injured on the job, don't hesitate. Contact an attorney. I did when I was wounded or injured on my job, and I thought I would trust my employer, and it didn't work out quite well, so I found Rusty Levin. Handled my case like a professional, worked out way better than any other lawyer that I talked to would have worked out. So Rusty, tell us a little bit about your company of Levin and Nabanian Trial Lawyers.
So at our firm at Levin Albania Trial Lawyers, we handle all matters of workers' compensation, personal injury, and employment disputes, wrongful termination matters, and things like that. We were able to help Mr. Reed out with his workers' compensation case. Unfortunately, workers' compensation injury can be very stressful, intense situation. And at Levin Albanian, we try to get you the most benefit we can under the law, while also easing the stress and anxiety that comes along with that situation, and getting you back on your feet. My partner, Mr. Albanian, he handles the personal injury sides, and I'll let him take it from there.
And just like all injured employees out there, anybody else who gets injured as a result of somebody else's negligence has rights, and the rights that they need to protect immediately. And they should do that by calling Levin and Albanian Trial Lawyers and letting us help ease that tension off of you and get you the result you deserve while also making sure that you get better in the progress. So we're here for you, folks.
Levin and Debonian Trial Lawyers is the best company for you to get a hold of when you're injured or have a personal injury. So give them a call at
213-232-4848, 213-232-4848. Thank
and
you.
let them handle the stress for you while you recover at home. Thank you again. Bye-bye. Welcome back. We were discussing the building and the complications of our builders building affordable housing in the city of Los Angeles and the state of California. I read a recent article in the LA Times in regards to a large builder that was building, I believe it was 55,000 homes, and he kind of scrapped half of it because of the economy and the cost of the building of the houses and whether or not he's going to be able to sell the houses. It doesn't really attach affordable housing. When I look at the projects that are being approved, you might have, I'm just rounding out the numbers. They will say it's a figures. They say that it's 80 units and they have to have 8 affordable housing units in it, but 72 of them are overpriced, of that. Does that style of building, allowing a building, does that really work when you only have a small number of affordable housing units in a large complex? It's going to have a negative impact on an entire neighborhood.
I don't necessarily think that's how we're going to solve this problem. 8 units at a time.
Yeah,
we just have to streamline everything for builders. We have to make it more efficient. When I hear there's cranes in the air. There's cranes in the air. Cranes are in downtown and Hollywood and places where $3,500 rent might make sense to certain people. But when I'm talking to people and trying to locate places in Council District 12, and I'm trying to figure out working with different companies, and they're telling me, John, there's no way I can build there unless it's by right. It's by right, I'm not going to do it because of all the different restrictions and regulations that we've put on. A lot of those have been in the name of solving the homelessness crisis, and I think we can all agree here the homelessness crisis is not getting any better.
No, it isn't. And again, I'm sorry to keep going back to the
Please.
cost because it's just staggering to me. By the way, I'm going to say this. I like the way you roll, John. I like the way you roll. So, as far as the cost is concerned, do you think the federal or state should be kicking in on that? Or do you think it's strictly a local problem that the cities have to deal with?
Well, right now, I think before we start asking the state, I mean, we do get money from the state. Before we start asking money from the federal government, we need to take a look and make sure that we're being good stewards of the money that the taxpayers have given us.
They've already allocated it out.
And we can't just ask for more money and then continue at this rate of paying this much money for units. So we need to take a look at all of that. And I need to really dive into exactly what the questions you were asking. That how did it get here? How do we keep raising? How did it go even from the last year from 550 to now to 700? I mean,
right.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, not to just the 4 people in this room.
Right.
If you bring this up anywhere, it doesn't, I've never heard someone go, well, try to explain it like, it's because of this, and this, and that's why. I mean, these are just for the units. They're not talking about the services. When I first heard the number, I thought it was okay. It was for the full wraparound services. It's for the cost of the people that need to be there to provide the mental illness and all the different things. It's not. It's just for the units.
Just for the units.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And when they said the $29 million for the one on Topanga, does that include the property? That was a big question I had. Does it include the cost of the property, or is that just $29 million to build the 63 units?
That's a good question.
I believe it is in the cost of acquiring the property. I do. I don't know that for sure, but regardless.
Yeah, regardless, exactly.
Yeah,
now, diving into another
too
question is the state was thinking about taking over the zoning. How would you say rights of different counties within the state of California? I believe there's 85 counties. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's 85 or 88 counties in the state of California. Do you think, and you might spearhead this, because the city of Los Angeles is a high-cost area. San Francisco is a high-cost area.
Correct.
San Diego is a high-cost area. Do you think all of the county supervisors of all the different counties, along with the mayors, should come together and look at the low cost? Because in Oakland, you can still rent an apartment for $500 a month, but yet there's no opportunity of work there. So do you think that collectively all of the mayors, all of the county supervisors within the state of California could come together and figure out how to start shifting the opportunities around and developing these smaller counties to be able to house, create affordable housing? Just to give you an idea, both of my daughters, of course, they couldn't live here in LA, so they bought houses in Oakhurst. One bought a 5-acre property with a 1,300 square foot manufactured home on there, cost $82,000. Her house payment's $520 a month. That includes taxes and insurance. My other daughter bought another house, a 1,600 square foot house. Her payment is $1,000 a month. It's affordable there. But if we look at and I know Steve has said this, you've said this, I've said this quite often, do people really have a right to live in a high cost area that they can't afford to live in? And should we be checking individuals that are utilizing the services of Los Angeles County and the city of Los Angeles? Do they have city connections? Were they raised here? Did they become homeless here? Or did they get shipped by the insurance scams from Ohio or Florida or whatever here, and they've come here? Now they're on Skid Row or on the streets, and we have to pick that up. Do you believe that, because I know one county is doing this, they're making it a qualification that you have to show a tie to the community in order to utilize the affordable housing or transitional housing or the services rendered?
Right. Well, I thought you were going to actually ask me tough questions on the show, Mark. Yeah, I mean, look, I've always believed that, and you've heard me say it, that the city government can't always just look for businesses to solve the problem. Whatever the issue is, whether it's cost of living, whether building more affordable housing, I always felt the government should be a partner in that. We should be offering different fees and incentives to people to build. But also, I mean, when we look at the different counties, like you're saying, that are looking to provide more opportunities,
they want to build up too.
Jobs. I'm always wary of telling any businesses of how they should do their business. I mean, if those counties and areas are offering
well, it's not telling the businesses, it's the actual government agencies coming together and being able to create business models that will attract and share the burden, because we're not going to get away from, individuals or overpopulation of areas versus opportunity.
Sure. But we have to understand that, like with smaller counties versus like the county of Los Angeles, we have different infrastructure built in. We have different things that are already built in that attracts companies to to our location. And it could be even as simple as the wonderful weather that we have here in Southern California. So there's so many different factors, and I'm sure that when the mayors get together at the mayors conference, that they are looking at, hopefully looking at every, different option out there. Mayor Garcetti did not create this issue. I don't blame.
Well, see, the tough thing is, and I hear what Mark is saying, and I certainly understand what you're saying. We're a capitalist society. And it's that age-old adage, it's supply and demand. As much as I would like to believe that we could control the local economies, we really can't. There's only so much that we can do as far as the cost of living here, be it in the San Fernando Valley, if it's in the city of Los Angeles, wherever. We will have very, very little impact on that, because anybody that puts out any product, and I don't care what it is, they're going to charge whatever the market will bear. And, Los Angeles City is a sprawling mecca. We love our cars. So like you were saying, Mark, where your daughters have purchased their homes at. I've known people that have moved out to San Bernardino to buy an affordable house and commute all the way out here to that valley. They're willing to make that 2.5, 3 hour drive.
That's why Riverside built up.
Right, exactly. And the same thing happened out on Palmdale Lancaster before Hughes Aircraft went bust, before Boeing went bust out there, and all those jobs went away. So I don't know that there's a whole lot that we can do. I mean, I think affordable housing is certainly one pillar that we can build on, but I don't know much more than that what we can do when it comes to the business, unless you have some revelation, John. I don't know.
With the people that are here, and I think I was talking about it earlier, Mark. You just said it again, that we are attracting people from other places to California.
Right.
And one of the things at the Rescue Mission is that you have to be able to stay at the Rescue Mission, you have to show proof that you've been living, in the San Fernando Valley for over 2 years, that you're not somebody who is coming from a different part, with your children, hoping to maybe make it big in Hollywood or whatever, the reason is, and then just find yourself, oh, well, I'll just use this as my
Exactly.
That's not what our services are. Our services are for the people who are truly that one paycheck away, who got that flat tire and had no way to pay it, and then all of a sudden started missing work, and then and
then just snowballs
down. So with the people that are here, I don't know if there's anybody who's come up with the solution of like, well, we can just put Bob and Sue back onto a train, to Ohio. We still live in the United States of America. People can live wherever they want to.
Right.
I don't want to infringe on people's rights. What I think we just need to do is we have to start taking a look. We can't just keep building housing thinking this is going to be the solution. We have to look at the programs, whether state programs, county programs, city programs, every single thing. Why heroin is cheap on our streets. Okay, that's not something we can necessarily control.
No.
Okay, but the programs that are bringing them here, the different propositions that are allowing them to be able to say, oh, we can go to California and I can walk into a store and I can take whatever I want and feed that my habit and live on the streets. We need to dig deeper. We need to stop the problem that's happening from growing. As the solution of what we're doing here, once we figure out how to stop that program, I think that we can come together and really figure out how. I don't know when talking about drug rehabilitation all of a sudden became a bad word. Sometimes when I talk about really providing rehabilitation to people on the streets, after they've committed some sort of crime, that we put them in something that people automatically go, John, homelessness is not a crime. I agree with them. Absolutely, homelessness is not a crime. But if they are committing crimes and we put them in rehabilitation, I honestly think that we're going to have people coming out of those programs that are going to thank us for saving their lives. Plus, what we are doing right now is not humane on the city streets. No. When I have people dying on the city streets and people walking over those bodies thinking it's a homeless person sleeping, meanwhile, that person is been dead, and making, like, when did that become okay? When did that become okay in our city? When did it become okay for us to, now we're dealing with different diseases that we haven't seen in this country for hundreds of years, and now that we're coming back, this can become a very serious medical crisis, and we need to start taking a look at those things.
We're on the cover now. And on that positive note, we're going to take another break to pay our bills. Ted.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Mark Reed and myself, brought to you by churchandlaw.com, 818-230-3110. If you have any questions or need legal advice about workers' compensation, employment, and labor law, call Church and Law, 818-230-3110. The Voice of Reason is also brought to you by Levin and Albondian, trial lawyers, 213-232-4848. If you have any workers' compensation, employment and labor law, or personal injury legal needs, call Levin and Albondian trial lawyers at 213-232-4848. And The Voice of Reason is also brought to you by Honda.
The power of dreams.
front man who drives. My power keeps me ahead in the front line. My reputation gets me on the front page. This is how I drive superiority. By being in the front row.
Welcome back to the Voice of Reason. We kind of hit off on a kind of a low note, and that is not really addressing the real issues. Now, the Latterman-Pentras Short Act, which was established in the 80s when they closed down all the federal federal mental health care facilities because of the abuse that was taking place. People are saying that the city of Los Angeles and other cities, not just the city of Los Angeles, they're okay with leaving some of these individuals on the street. And I've been to my Chatsworth Facebook site, Chatsworth Pride, several other Woodland Hills, West Hills, and they show individuals that are just, I showed Ted one of the.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it's heartbreaking.
It breaks your heart because that is somebody's kid. Mm-hmm. You know, that was somebody's significant other maybe. And they're out there, you know, flopping their arms around because there's this heroine from Florida coming here. Do you believe that we need to seriously look at, and even, you know, cooperate with the ACLU, seriously look at mandatory programs for individuals like that? Because like you said, it's inhumane to leave them on the street. It really is. The things that are happening to them only, we go to our nice houses, we sleep in a warm bed, we take a shower. These people are living on the streets, and some of them are really whacked out of their minds. And Laura's Law gives the city of Los Angeles, and even the city incorporates and counties of the state of California, an ability to take control of their lives at that point. Do you think we really need to look at that and start some kind of compulsory programs?
Mental illness is something that...
mental illness and drug addiction.
Yeah, it's long overdue for what we need to do. I think that when we're looking at the money, like we said earlier, let's start looking at lowering those costs and start paying more attention to the services that these people need. You know, I want to help them. I want to, you know, I want to make them better. You know, there's so many people dealing with those drug addictions. Yeah, unfortunately, I have, you know, businesses in Chatsworth, very successful ones that are now closing down because they just, you know, it's not that they don't have compassion for the homeless, but who's going to come to their shop when people are, you know, it's, you know, somehow okay in our society to just defecate wherever you want. And unfortunately, one of our flower shops, probably one of the most popular flower shops in Chatsworth, had to deal with this on a daily basis, and just, you know, decided they just couldn't do it anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate, and we need to. There's so many different things that we need to do and provide. I mean, longer than the show can, you know, handle tonight. But I'm gonna, you know, when I come back, you know, give me some time to really dig in, because once I start, now that I'm just starting to go down that hole, you're starting to see a lot of different things. You mentioned about the programs that are bringing people here. I mean, that's true. Huge, yeah, and that's huge too. That's a true statement.
It sure is. It sure is.
We need to face that, and we need to figure out what laws we need to change to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right, and I agree with you. And even like what Mark was talking about, and I know you mentioned about working with the ACLU, because it does get to be a very slippery slope when you want to impugn on someone's civil liberties and trying to force them into a drug program or forcing them to go into a hospital for their own mental health and well-being. And the first thing that would have to be done, we'd have to get the courts involved, in the sense that they would have to literally be scooped up off the street, taken somewhere, so they can be declared mentally incapacitated, so they are not able to make their own decisions. And like I said, that gets to be a slippery slope. You know, you talk to someone who is willingly using drugs, knows what it's doing to their bodies, committing crimes to feed their habit.
But a person, Ted, I'm very familiar with drug addiction, kind of, revealing my family was addicted. My son is dealing with it as well.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to hear that.
And when a person is on drugs, they are definitely not making rational decisions. So, and I've said this before, and I've said it on other podcasts, I've said it on my website as well, is that I honestly believe that judicial reform and prison reform needs to take place in order to help these individuals. Because right now, the law enforcement is only stuck on one thing. You break a law, you go in, you get prosecuted for that particular law. But why can't we start programs to where if significant others, parents and so forth, after 18 years old can come in, prove without a doubt that this individual has a drug problem, that they can be mandated to a drug program rather than being incarcerated or put into the prison system. And inclusive of individuals who have committed a crime, feeding their habit. They have incidents with the police department, continual incidents, that rather than the judge saying, I'm going to give you 5 years in state penitentiary, which costs us $100,000 to prosecute them and about $80,000, $85,000 to house them, of saying we have a program and establish a good program of a 2-year, 3-year, or 4-year program with vocational training, nutritional training, psychiatric help as well, to be able to, it would cost us less, I think.
Well, I think there's a lot of different programs. I think there's a lot of different successful programs that are happening across the country. I know they're not dealing with it on the size of Los Angeles.
Right.
It's very simple to say, like, well, this works in, this.
Podo.
Yeah, exactly. But this work in LA.
They got 20 addicts a year.
But we need to. We need to. Everything has to be on the table. We need to be able to try whatever it is.
Right.
Now, when you're talking about in my family, I have family members dealing with drug addiction. I have families dealing with mental illness.
Right.
And the mental illness issues are just simply they won't take their medicine.
Right.
And it
That's
frustrates
where
me
it
in the
has
end,
to be. There has to be compulsory programs.
But where I want to start is those people who are just committing crimes that are putting out of business, some of our mom and pop stores.
Right.
I have, there was an article in the paper, I believe, that talking about a 7-Eleven owner where people just come in, grab the 12-pack of beer and grab some chips and just say, hey, call the police. And the police are frustrated. I'm not blaming them. They're frustrated. They're frustrated when it takes them longer to fill out paperwork than it does for someone to come in and they see them walking out and they're still filling out the paperwork. They're like, John, I want to concentrate on other crimes that I can make a difference on. If this is going to continue to be petty theft, then I understand their frustration.
Right. We have to put more teeth in the laws.
Yes, and so that's one of the things that I plan on, really looking into those recent propositions that were sold to us as, safe neighborhoods, safe schools acts, and
right,
and they've done everything but that, and so. I have a long road ahead of me.
Yes, you do.
But
I think
you have a fun road.
Well,
solving some problems.
My staff jokes with me every time I give them something to do. They look at each other and they joke around. They say, "This is what we wanted," And I guess this is the same thing. This is a job that I understand that is not going to be easy. I understand there's going to be a lot of challenges. I know that, I'm not going to snap my fingers overnight and solve this, this crisis. But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. I am. And one of the things I want to ask you, like I said, 5 days. I got that. Okay. So
Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate that.
I got to come back to that. 5 days.
You got my back.
Okay.
I thought you already moved the moon and the earth.
Well, yeah, I'm afraid when the next time I come on, it's going to be 30 days. It's going to be like, okay, time's up.
That's it
now.
What have you pinpointed since you taken office that you want to? What problem do you think you want to tackle first? I know you have a lot on your plate, John. I know there's a cacophony. I know there's a lot of things that you want to get accomplished. What is going to be the first thing that you attack?
Well, That is not an easy question. There's so many different, whether they be local issues like the rapid bus transit line that we're dealing with in our district, or there's larger city issues like I believe that we need more police officers on our streets. There are, while we need to hire more, while per capita of large cities in the nation, we are the lowest. But there's different things that I think we can do, hopefully during the budget. There are different, just priorities. It's all about priorities in the budget. Years ago, we eliminated so many civilian staff from LAPD.
Right.
What did that do? That just brought police officers off the streets, back into doing clerical duty. Right. At a higher price. That's something that we need to look at. We need to look at paying our officers more. Right now, it's a seller's market. Law enforcement agencies throughout the state are hiring officers, and while LAPD is the premier law enforcement agency, they should be at least more than average in pay, because what happens? We train them. Another organization knows they have the LAPD training, and then they take them away from us.
Well, exactly.
They pay them more. It's something that we need some common sense, as your show says. We need to start looking at that, and if it means that we need to pay our officers more and that we have better retention, these days we have tech jobs or different things that you can be paid $90,000 doing this job. Or you can be paid, $60,000 or $70,000. With it.
There's no big decision to be made there. Because, like you're saying,
when you put your life on the line every single day,
every day,
and we have to understand that that's what our officers are doing. So that's something I want to take a look at. Aliso Canyon. That was something that I live in Porter Ranch. My family was affected by it.
Right.
It's a funny thing during campaigns, because I was running for someone who, touts herself as being a environmental scientist.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden that made me someone who does,
You're anti-environmental.
I'm
Right.
anti.
Right.
And when that's just not the case. I understand the issues, but while I have the commitment of, everyone, shall I say, take a step back, everyone knew we had a gas facility up there. I don't think we knew the scale of it.
Right.
And now we have built so many thousands of homes around this area.
Well, kind of on that note, on that one, John, we're going to have Dr. Nordella and a mom from the area, Nancy Hernandez, is going to come onto the show and discuss all the health issues that came about from that, because it is a catastrophe. It's the #1 environmental disaster in the United States.
We need to look at it, but we also have to remember, Mark, that we need to do everything. When we move towards sustainability, when we move towards green energy, it has to have a plan. It has to have a plan. It cannot affect the economy, cannot affect good-paying jobs. We can't just flip a switch and make it happen. We have to do it in a responsible way so that I'm not losing jobs in Chatsworth. I have a manufacturing district, a huge manufacturing area. They rely heavily on energy. I got they're getting cold calls from other states to say, hey, come to Texas.
They're all trying
to
attract them.
We'll give you all, A, B, C, and D. But they stay here in Los Angeles, and to raise their energy costs a little bit, let alone 2-3 times, where some programs are talking about, I'm worried. I'm worried about losing good-paying middle-class jobs. And also on that topic, the city of Los Angeles, we need to start looking at businesses a different way. Too often we're telling businesses how they should run their business.
Right.
I think we should be looking at the ones that are prospering here.
Right.
Taking a look at that and engaging with them and asking them, hey, you're doing well here. What can we as a government do to help you grow this economy, create more jobs, instead of telling them, hey, you need to be carrying this burden for us.
Well, that's what I've heard from a few business owners that were being courted by Texas. They said it's unbelievable. They call up, what can we do for you? How can we get you over here?
Oh, the tax breaks and everything. It's unbelievable.
Just their involvement of helping a business succeed is unbelievable. And some of them called me back up and said, yeah, you know, the expendable cash in Texas is unbelievable. People are buying stuff. He goes, they don't stop. Once you move over here, you move your business here, they don't stop helping you. And you're right. I think the city of Los Angeles has to readjust their mindset about what business is all about.
We can only rely on our weather so much.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You know, on one note, because we're going to go to a break, you know, my family has been LAPD going all the way back to my great-grandfather, retired as a sergeant from the Los Angeles Police Department. And when you were talking about the pay, when I was getting married back in '78, I actually went through the oral, the written, the physical, and I had to make that decision. Do I want to put a price, a target on my back for the little amount that was being paid? And I have a tremendous amount of friends in LAPD. My family is still in LAPD and in the fire department, and we need to start respecting the job that they do.
Absolutely.
And back them up 100%.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we're going to go back to another break. We still have to pay our bills. It costs a lot of money to do this show. So
It sure does.
Yes.
You know, look at who we have here.
Exactly.
I'm getting paid?
Yes, my taxes pay your
gotcha.
paycheck.
There you go.
Touche.
All right.
Touche.
The Voice of Reason is brought to you by TurchinLaw.com, 818-230-3110. If you have any questions or need legal advice about workers' compensation, employment, and labor law, call TurchinLaw.com at 818-230-3110. The Voice of Reason is also brought to you by Honda. The Voice of Reason is brought to you by Levin and Albandian Trial Lawyers at 213-232-4848. If you have any workers' compensation, employment, and labor law, or personal injury legal needs, call Levin and Albandian Trial Lawyers at 213-232-4848.
On that note, prior to the show starting up, we touched another subject. We've touched a lot of local issues here. You know, the Aliso Canyon, we're going to get into that later, and I'd love for you to come back once you dive into that, because I know that you've made the comments, you know, the responses that you need to dive into it further. Same thing with the Santa Susana Field Laboratory, how we need to clean that up. To what degree do we need to clean it up to as well? So I'm going to give you that opportunity rather than hitting you with hard questions on those, because I know that you need to dive into that. Those are some serious, deep issues that you've inherited, and it's been going on for quite a while.
Just wanted to say with Aliso Canyon, I want to dive into it because I don't want to happen what has happened at Santa Susana. They've pitted the community against each other. Some want full background, some surface cleanup, and what has happened? Absolutely nothing.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I don't want that to happen with Aliso Canyon when we have certain people saying, close it down now, and the other side saying, that's impossible, we can't do this, instead of working together to figure out a real plan. So when I figure out what that is, I will be back.
I see you as a person, John. That's why I backed you and supported you through your campaign, as a person who has the desire to bring both sides of the aisle together. That's why I wanted you on the show, is because I yes, Ted and I have both said numerous of times, both sides of the aisle can come up with great ideas.
Absolutely.
Both sides of the aisle can screw things up quite well. So rather than looking for the Republican solution or the Democrat solution, we need to just really fixate on what is the right solution to the right problem.
There
And
you
that's
go.
it. Leave it alone from there. We got to get away from that stuff because it's destroying the communities. Now, on that note, we were talking a little bit about how the state influence what influences it has on the city of Los Angeles. Now, the last I checked, the city council membership was about 8 former state assemblymen or state senators. What is your opinion on that?
Well, whether I don't know if this is the direction you want me to take this question, but really what I see the problem is whether you support term limits or you don't support term limits. I come from a time when there were no term limits working in City Hall. And when those council members made those decisions, they felt like, you know what, I'm going to be elected next time, and the next time after that, and the next time after that, and next time after that. But what comes with that, though, I truly believed when they made budget decisions, they cared about what was going to happen 10 years down the line, because they would have to answer for what happens 10 years down the line.
Right.
And so much with the the job shuffles that you talk about, Sacramento coming here, city council going there, and back and forth, and all the different things like that. not only do you lose institutional knowledge, but you have people that do have to, they're in politics. They want to be elected, either reelected or elected to a new position to accomplish the things that they want to do for their communities. And sometimes, I believe that some people have made decisions of, well, I want the John Lee program. I want the John Lee building. Maybe the John Lee program has already is already getting done in the city of Los Angeles,
Right.
but I want my name on that because I'm going to be running for re-election, and I want to be able to point to that. And sometimes those decisions, and that's not so much that the state representatives that are coming here, I think they care about their communities just as much as anybody else on the city council. It's just that is the nature of, unfortunately, what happens when you don't have term limits.
I think
me
you hit
ask
the
you
key
this.
issue on that, and that is when you do have term limits, you are compromising the institutional knowledge and experience of people who can get things done and get things through the system, because it's a very complex system.
But also care what's going to happen
Well,
down the
yeah,
road.
exactly.
Let me ask you guys. You guys are in the political arena, okay? I'm just an American citizen. Okay? So let me
Don't
ask
cop
you.
out on that.
Hey.
You're a smart guy. You're in the legal profession. You're more political than both of us.
My question is, even on the issue of term limits, and again, I often use the phrase "it's a slippery slope," because I agree with you that if they don't continue to seek re-election, there is a lot of institutional knowledge that is lost. My question is, do you have a concern that those who are in political office for too long either end up becoming complacent or having a sense of entitlement? Well, what do you think about that? Do you see that? Is there a concern about that?
I don't know if any political official can just become complacent. I think that we all have to pay attention to our constituents. We have to pay attention to the areas that we serve. So I don't know about the complacency part of it. When I was on the city council as a young deputy in the mid '90s, that was the one thing that honestly really I was so pleased when I was found out after being there that these council members truly cared about their communities, just like the council members I'm sure that are on the city council right now. I'm sure they care about their communities. But when I started, I saw people who had been in office for 25 years who still went out and visited, different homeowner associations, different groups, because they knew that ultimately they were the people that they answered to. And that's why, I'm very fortunate because of my wife and 2 kids. They don't know any other husband or father other than the one that's been chief of staff and been staffer.
Right.
And when I tell them that Mark is making me come on his show, and at 7 o'clock at night. No, I'm just kidding.
Ted points it out. My grandkids, my wife, and my kids. They'll say, "Describe Grandpa." He's on his phone. He's watching the news. He's talking. When you really do care, like you're pointing out, and I brought this up in a debate in one of my campaigns. I believe that everybody that's in office, Republican or Democrat, really cares about their community, really cares about their country. Whether or not you agree with their policy decisions is another question.
Right.
I never question the person's, how would you say, desire to serve. This is the reason why they're in there. It's a brutal job. It's a brutal job just to campaign for it. And kind of like you pointed out, I hate these debates. I didn't care for them either. But it's part of the job.
Yeah.
It's part of the process. And you're working with 14 other individuals that really care. And they're boisterous. They're very outspoken. I mean, Herb Wesson is... I like watching him on occasion.
Right.
He gets up there and he's... But that shows the passion that he has for the job that he's doing. He cares about the city of Los Angeles. But you brought up a couple of critical things, and that's sometimes I think everybody that's in office, as Ted was kind of pointing out and alluding to as you get complacent, is sitting back and doing a triage of what you're doing. Is it working? Does the city of Los Angeles, should they sit back right now and do a triage on the homeless? Are their approaches working? Is it really feasible? Is it even right? Is it justified to the taxpayers spending $700,000 per studio or spending $350,000 on a decking around that one facility in I believe Alvarado Street in that area there? I would have liked to got that contract because I know what it costs. But is it time for the city of Los Angeles on certain issues to sit back and do a triage, a real reassessment of the issue and what is the money that they're spending accomplishing, and can it be done a different way and be done better without insulting the other 14 city councilmen thinking they're doing the right thing?
Right.
Is it time to do
I
this?
don't. I think my colleagues know that I'm not there to point out that I am somehow smarter than them or anything. That I'm there to get things done. I'm there to serve this community. I'm there to serve the city. And when they know that's coming from that place, I think that, well, I'm hopefully going to bring that different voice of different ideas that maybe they haven't looked into, different arguments that hopefully that make them, take a step back and say, John, maybe we should try that. Like I said, I don't have that magic bullet that is going to, solve this crisis. But we're going to have to try different things because it's not working.
Okay, so two quick things. Okay. First observation. You strike me as a pragmatist. Is that a correct assessment?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that's a great thing, and especially when you were talking about your approach to Aliso Canyon. I think that's crucial. I think right now that's what we need. We need a pragmatist. We do. The other question I have is, what is your sense right now, after only 5 days, what is your sense right now of the other 14 members as far as being able to find common ground in order to solve this problem, this Herculean problem that we have in the community? Well, what is your sense?
Well, I'm hoping that they, all, that we all have the same goals, and I'm hoping that we just may have a different way of looking at them, and I'm counting on the men and women of the LAPD and the LA Fire Department to stand next to me, because they're having to deal with a lot of these issues, and I'm there to support them, and I'm hoping they're going to be there to support me when we just have these discussions, because police officers are now, having to walk in areas, let alone the dangers that they faced all their lives, but now they're facing, different, by touching something, catching some disease or different things like that, and so. I think that the council members and I, regardless, I just don't see it as a Republican or Democratic thing. I think it's a humanitarian thing, and that we're going to, work together. And I will be able to tell you, a year from now or 2 years from now. But right now, after being in office for, like you said, just a few
5 days,
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that they will be able to at least listen to some of my ideas, listen, and hopefully be willing to take a different approach, or willing to take any approach, whether it's mine or whether it's someone else. I don't need the John Lee program. I don't need the John Lee building. I don't need my name on anything. I
need the right solution to the right problem.
You just need to fix it.
I want to keep taking care of CD12 like I like to feel that I've been doing my entire adult life. The 41 years I've lived there, since I've been volunteering since I was 13 years old in that community. It's again the area that I love, and this is the city that I love, and I want to tackle the many issues that are facing us right now.
Well, I know on some of the Facebook pages that I frequent quite a bit, the naysayers, well, John Lee's just one voice, one Republican voice amongst 14, and I have to come back and say a leader leads.
Thank you.
And it doesn't have to be a Republican or Democrat. A leader leads. John's a leader proven by your past, proven by winning the election as well. And I say give him a shot, because he's going to go into the room and it's no longer Republican or Democrat. It is a problem. How do we fix the problem? And I honestly believe you look at the things the same way me and Ted do, and it's not a Republican or Democrat. These are community issues, and how do we fix them? How do we get to that right solution for the right problems?
Sure.
And people will back off at that point, because all they're trying to do is that negative rhetoric of, you're a Republican, you don't know anything. You're a Democrat, you know less than me. And that's really hateful speech.
It's unfortunate that we've come to a place where the political climate is just that. It's
toxic.
red versus blue, instead of just sitting down and sharing ideas and talking to people about your different viewpoints. And it's unfortunate, but hopefully we can start doing that. And I think you guys are proving that right here on this podcast.
And on that note, I'm going to read something that Mark Reed actually sent to me, and
I love
it
that
was
one,
called
actually.
"Looking Back," and it was Eisenhower and JFK. And it said, when Democrats and Republicans were running our country, we didn't hate each other. We didn't vote for parties. We voted for ideas that came from both parties that made us better as a country. We didn't label ideas or parties as racist, sexist, or un-American. We did what we thought was best for we, the people, and accepted the winner as a united country. And that's the way that it should be. I mean, there's so much acrimony nowadays, between the parties. The political climate is absolutely toxic, and I hate it, because that's not what America is about. It isn't about that, and because we've demonstrated, even with Hurricane Dorian, that when there's a crisis, as a people and as a country, we rise up and we help. That's what we do.
The people in the country have always come
That's
together.
what we do.
Politicians have a very difficult time doing that. But on that note, we got the signal. We got to roll the show up.
Okay, all right.
The carpet's being called in. John, I really want to thank you for coming in. I want to have you back as well.
Definitely.
Commit to coming back?
If Ted asks, I will.
Ted asks, okay.
Definitely consider it.
You're beating me up.
Definitely want you to come back, John. I definitely want you to
Really
come back.
appreciate it, without a
Look,
doubt.
you've been great. I'm an admirer of yours. Like I said, I like the way
appreciate
you
that.
roll.
Yeah.
I do. I like the way you roll.
And
I
on that
appreciate
note,
it.
everybody, thank you for allowing us to come into your homes, into your cars, into your computers, into your cell phones, and give you the voice of reason, where we can come together and talk about the issues that connect us together as one community, as one peoples. Ted, bring it on home for us.
All right, you have been listening to Mark Reed and Ted Durden. The Voice of Reason has been brought to you by churchandlaw.com, Honda, and Levin and Albanian trial lawyers. At the closing of each show, I say this, and it will always hold true. And John, I hope you can appreciate it. Ignorance only prevails when rational minds sit back and do nothing. Thanks for watching the show, and please be sure to tune in next week.
Bye.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Mark Reed and Ted Durden, only on LA Talk Radio.